This is what happens when homemade Puerto Rican seasonings meet dinner. Our homemade achiote oil, our adobo and sazón, and now it's time to put them all to work. Tonight we're making my husband's favorite protein, pork. What is your favorite protein? Chicken, pork, or beef? I start by lining my old worn-out baking sheet with foil. Then I add the pork chops and give them a generous dusting of our homemade adobo and sazón. Make sure you get both sides for all the flavor. Then we're going to put these into a 350-degree oven for about 45 minutes. While the pork is cooking, let's get started on the beans. I warm the pan and add about 2 tablespoons of our homemade achiote oil. Then we're going to add a handful of our frozen aromatics from our week 5 garden update video. Look at that beautiful color. Now here come the onions, garlic, and green pepper. We'll let those warm up and melt, giving them a chance to release all of their flavor. Once those aromatics have had a chance to warm up, we're going to add about 5 tablespoons of green sofrito. Now mix everything together and let it heat through, giving all those flavors a chance to meld. Then we'll add a teaspoon and a half of our homemade sazón. Then about half a can of Goya tomato sauce goes in. And a few olives for that little bit of salty, briny goodness. Then the next to go in is about 2 tablespoons each of garlic and onion powder. Then mix until those powders dissolve into the mixture. And finally, our base is done, so we're going to add our undrained beans into the pan. Then I use the empty can to measure out half a can of water and add that to the pan as well. Now that our beans are going, we can finally move on to the yellow rice and gandules. For the rice, we start with 1/3 cup of our homemade achiote oil. Next, we'll add 1 1/2 teaspoon of our homemade sazón. Then I sprinkle in a little salt. I don't measure, I just sprinkle it to taste. And of course, we'll need rice. We're making 4 cups of medium grain rice tonight. Because we're adding moisture from other ingredients, I start with less water than I normally would for white rice. For 4 cups of medium grain rice, I start with 3 1/2 cups of water, otherwise it can sometimes turn to mush. Then we add 1 whole can of drained gandules, also known as pigeon peas. Now we'll give everything a good stir to get it all mixed together. Then we add 6 tablespoons of red sofrito. And finally, 2 bay leaves. Now we'll mix everything together and bring it to a boil over high heat. Once it starts to boil, we'll reduce the heat to medium and let it simmer for about 5 minutes or until you no longer see standing water. Now we'll give everything a stir, reduce the heat to low, and cover this. We'll check back in 10 minutes. The water we started with has cooked off, leaving us with a nice dry rice. Now it's had time to cook. We can adjust the moisture without turning it to mush. So we'll give this a stir and add about a 1/4 cup of water and continue cooking for another 10 minutes. Repeat this process 2 times, adding about a 1/4 cup of water each time until the rice is cooked for a total of 30 minutes. This way, we end up with perfectly cooked rice, not mushy, but not dry and crunchy either. And don't forget to give the beans a stir at least every 10 minutes to keep them from sticking to the bottom of the pan also. The beans will cook for 30 minutes total. And the pork chops are done, so let's get them out of the oven.
Oh, sorry. I think I'm gonna have it cut off the bone and just like everything in a fucking bowl so I can eat it with like a spoon.
Alrighty, plan on it. If you've been following along with our homemade adobo, sazón, and achiote oil, you've now seen them all come together and put dinner on the table. If you enjoyed cooking and exploring these flavors with us, don't forget to like and subscribe. And before you go, tell me in the comments what is your favorite comfort food from childhood. And there we have it, pork chops, yellow rice with gandules, and pinto beans and vegetables. A pretty good dinner if you ask me. And if you'd like to take some of these recipes into your own kitchen, we're starting to add our recipe cards to our Ko-fi shop. You'll find the link in the description. Come cook, explore, and discover the flavors of Puerto Rico with us. Until next time, we'll see you on the island.